All right, ready to dive in. We're taking a deep dive into the final episodes of No Gain, No Love. You know those last few episodes where everything comes together?
Yeah, talk about intense.
We're talking about those heart-stopping twists and those tear-jerking confessions.
Of course, we can't forget about the viewers.
And you know we've got a whole pile of fan comments to get through.
It's always so interesting to hear what the viewers have to say. They really went deep with this one.
Really dove in deep.
Analyzing everything, even down to the tiny cultural details. They were living every single plot twist right alongside those characters.
Okay, let's unpack this. Episode 11, that bombshell. Hae-young finds out about Ji-wook. Her mom's always there, help her.
Oh, yeah.
Was actually her foster child. Classic K-drama, right? Everything's connected.
For sure.
But this reveal, it's so much more than just a plot twist.
It really is. It gets to the core of Hae-young, all her deepest feels and insecurities. She's already dealing with so much, right? About her mother's past, being a foster parent, and how that played a role in her own father's death. Then to find out that the guy she's falling for was also a part of that world, that's a lot to handle.
It really is. And the show doesn't hold back on the raw emotions either.
Not at all.
We see Hae-young's anger and confusion, but it's how this discovery impacts her relationship with her sister, Jaeyeon, that makes it really interesting.
Because remember, Jaeyeon, she's carrying that weight, that her father was responsible for Hae-young's dad's death.
And to think their mom had Ji-wook in her life after all that happened?
It's like a strange comfort, as if she weren't alone after all.
It just adds a whole other layer to their bond, you know? It's like their lives were completely tangled up long before any romance even started.
Talk about complicated family dynamics.
Yeah.
And this is where No Gain, No Love really excels.
I completely agree.
It blends those classic K-drama tropes, the hidden identities, fake relationships, you name it, with these emotional, heavy subplots.
It really does.
You're invested in the character's own story just as much as you are with the romance.
You're right. And speaking of journeys, these final episodes had a few detours I wasn't quite prepared for.
Like what?
Gyeoyeon, the CEO, seemingly cold-hearted,
Yeah.
suddenly confesses his feelings for Jaeyeon.
Wow.
And don't forget, she's still dealing with the truth about her own father at this point.
It's amazing how the writers did that, though. Even a character like Yoo-hyun, who's made some, well, we'll say questionable choices, is given a chance to grow, to redeem himself.
That's true.
Although whether he actually earns that redemption, well, that's a discussion for another time.
The viewers definitely had something to say about that. The message boards were on fire with this one. Team Gyu-hyun going head-to-head with...
Oh, I can only imagine.
He's got a lot to prove, Camp.
Understandable. It's that nuance that makes No Gain, No Love more than a typical romantic comedy.
You're right.
It's thought-provoking. We have to confront morality and empathy, and even then, there's no easy answer.
No easy answers at all, which I think makes it so much better.
Keeps us on our toes.
And speaking of gray areas...
Yeah.
Ji-wook and his whole promise issue.
Oh, right.
He feels obligated to leave Korea because of what he promised his foster mother, even though it'll break Hae-young's heart.
It's such a classic K-drama move.
It really is, and I feel like a lot of fans felt like it was a bit of a tired trope.
Frustrating trope. You said it perfectly. It's almost like we crave those familiar K-drama beats, but at the same time, we're yearning for something more, for characters who break free from those expectations.
I agree.
So, what do you think? Did the writers find a good balance here, with Ji-wook being torn between his happiness and his duty?
It's tough to say. On one hand, his devotion to keeping those promises speaks volumes about his character. He always tries to live up to what people expect of him, and it's like he's trying to find some stability.
Makes sense, considering his past.
Exactly, but seeing him choose obligation over love, that one was a punch to the gut, not gonna lie.
Especially for viewers who wanted that fairy tale ending for Ji-wook and Hae-young after everything those two went through, and their chemistry, off the charts.
Right, and then it all leads up to that bittersweet resolution in the last episode.
Oh, tell me about it.
Ji-wook comes back to Korea, and we find out he was able to reconnect with his birth mother's family in Canada. He's finally free.
Free from that promise-burdened past.
It is a win, but it comes at a cost. And I thought it was interesting how they chose to show their reunion.
What do you mean?
There's no big gesture, no fairy tale wedding. It's just quiet, you know? Like an understanding that they're just at the very beginning of their journey back to each other.
And of course, that ending left some viewers wanting more.
Oh, absolutely.
The message boards, let me tell you, buzzing with theories. Some people were disappointed. They wanted a real ending.
Of course.
While others appreciated that realism, the acknowledgement that sometimes happiness isn't the destination, it's about the journey.
It's about the journey, exactly. And speaking of those message boards, did you see that one comment about Jaeyeon calling Jiwook Hyungbu?
No, I don't think so.
It translates to brother-in-law,
Oh, wow.
which, at first glance might not seem like a big deal, but it really says a lot about that family dynamic that's at the heart of the show.
It really does. Especially in Korean culture, that one word, haeonbu, holds so much weight. It's that feeling of belonging, of truly being accepted into the family. And it really emphasizes how no gain, no love looks at what makes up a family. It's not always about blood ties, is it?
It's not.
It's about who's there for you, who loves and supports you, who makes you feel at home. It's about finding your people.
Exactly. Which is really significant if you think about how much Jiwook craves that connection. He wants stability, a place to belong, and he tries to find that by keeping his promises, showing his loyalty.
He wants to prove he's worthy, that he deserves that place.
And that actually made me think about another comment I saw. Someone pointed out that Jiwook's almost obsessive focus on promises
Right.
stems from his need to feel connected and valued after a life full of instability. By keeping those promises, he's creating order in a world that often feels unpredictable and chaotic.
It makes you see him in a whole new light.
It really does.
It's not just about duty, those promises, that's about survival. It's about clinging to something constant in a world that's always changing.
It is, and it's those layers of complexity that make No Gain, No Love so much more than your average K-drama.
It really
But
makes you
it's-
think. Couldn't agree more. The writers really knew how to hook us with this one.
All right, before we get into part 2, I have to ask. That scene with Jiwook and Hae-young at the convenience store,
Which one?
you know the one?
Oh, right.
I'm not going to lie, I was getting some serious flirtation vibes from that whole exchange.
Yeah.
What about you? Was it just playful banter, or was there something more there? I don't know about you, but I totally got some major flirting vibes from that convenience store scene with Jiwook and Hae-young.
Oh, absolutely. The writers knew exactly what they were doing there. It's that classic K-drama move, that slow build of tension, even when it seems like nothing's really happening.
Exactly. And it makes you wonder,
Doesn't it?
when did Jiwook actually start falling for Hae-young?
Because it definitely wasn't love at first sight, was it?
No,
No.
not even close.
Fans have been debating that one nonstop.
Oh, I bet.
Some say it was the dress shop scene. You know, the one where Hae-young puts on that,
That interesting dress.
Yeah, so he wouldn't be recognized. Apparently, her trying to protect him like that really resonated with viewers.
Which, when you think about it, makes a lot of sense.
Right. Think about Jiwook's past. So much instability. He's always wanted to find a place where he truly belongs.
It's true. He's always searching for that stability, that sense of belonging.
Seeing Hae-young step up like that, even if it seems small.
Because it really was such a small thing.
Exactly, but for him, it probably meant something more. It's like that was the moment he started seeing her differently.
Not just his friend's sister anymore.
Exactly.
And from there, it just builds. All those little interactions, the late night talks, the shared meals, even the bickering.
It's like those small moments created the foundation for something much deeper. So by the time we get to those more romantic scenes,
They hit that much harder.
they really do.
And that's what I love about K-drama romances. You get that slow burn,
Oh, yeah.
that attention to detail. As a viewer, you're right there with them every step of the way.
And speaking of emotional journeys, can we just talk about Hae-young for a second?
Of course, she really does come a long way, doesn't she?
She goes from being impulsive, reactive,
Which, let's be honest, she was.
to this incredibly strong, selfless woman. Especially in those last few episodes when she encourages Jiwook to keep his promise, even though it might mean losing him.
It broke my heart.
Mine too. She easily could have let her own fears win, her fear of being alone, but she chooses love. Not just for him, but for herself too. She realizes that sometimes true love means letting go, letting the person you love find their own way.
And that's what makes her, I love you, so powerful in that last scene.
So much emotion packed into those three little words, right?
So it wasn't out of desperation or because she felt obligated.
Mhm.
It was pure understanding, pure acceptance.
It really was, and it speaks to the heart of what this show is about. It's not always about finding the one, you know. It's about growing as a person, becoming your best self.
Figuring out who you are.
Exactly. And sometimes that journey takes you down some unexpected roads.
Speaking of unexpected roads,
Yeah.
we have to talk about Gi-hyun and Joyeon.
Oh boy, here we go.
Talk about a relationship that sparks some serious debate online.
That's an understatement, especially considering everything those two were dealing with. Kyu-hyun, trying to atone for his past mistakes.
And let's not forget his family's legacy.
Right. And Jaeyeon still processing all that trauma from her own father.
So much baggage.
You said it. And yeah, their chemistry is off the charts, but is that enough?
That was the big question, wasn't it?
Viewers were torn.
And rightfully so.
Some felt like their relationship moved way too fast. Like, shouldn't Gyu-hyun have to work a little harder to earn Jaeyeon's trust after everything?
I mean, he didn't exactly have the best track record.
He really didn't. But then you have the other side, the ones who saw his efforts, his attempts to change, to break free from his family's influence.
And let's be real, that family was a whole other level of complicated.
They really were. But I think what makes it so brilliant is that there's no easy answer. Gyu-hyun isn't just a hero or a villain.
He's both.
Exactly. He's capable of both good and bad, and it's up to the viewer to decide if he's truly earned that redemption.
It really makes you think. And it's what I love about this show.
What's that?
It takes those classic K-drama tropes, the hidden identities, the tangled families, all the ingredients we love.
Oh, yeah.
But then it adds this layer of emotional depth.
It's a delicate balance, but no gain, no love. Just nails it.
It's almost like the shows, the writers, they get us,
They do.
no gain, no love. It's like they're holding up this mirror and saying, this is what relationships are really like. It's not always pretty.
It's messy and complicated.
Exactly. And I think that's why it resonates with so many people.
We're all just trying to figure things out as we go, aren't we? And this show gets that. Happiness. It's not a straight line.
Definitely not a straight line. It's more like a roller coaster with all those twists and turns.
And you never know what's coming next. Speaking of twists, did you hear about that fan theory?
Which one? There are so many good ones floating around out there.
Remember that line about Bi-hyun's mother adopting all those stray cats?
Oh, yeah. It seemed kind of random at the time.
Right. But some fans think it was a hint.
A hint? About what?
About her capacity for love, Like, maybe deep down she's not as cold-hearted as she seems.
Wow. I have to admit, I didn't even pick up on that. See, that's what I love about this show. Even the smallest details can spark these really interesting conversations.
It's those layers, the symbolism, the deeper meanings. The writers really wanted viewers to think, to analyze.
And analyze they did.
Yeah.
And it's those layers that keep us coming back for more. It's not just a romance. It's about family, forgiveness.
And confronting those skeletons in your closet.
Exactly. Facing your past, no matter how difficult it might be. So, as we wrap up our deep dive on No Gain, No Love, what's your biggest takeaway? What is it about this show that sticks with you?
I think it's the show's belief in the power of human connection. Throughout the series, we see all these characters struggling with loneliness, with past traumas.
They've all been through so much.
They have, but it's through their relationships, whether it's family, romantic, or even just friendship, that they find healing, they grow.
And they find that place where they belong.
Exactly, which I think is such an important message, especially these days, in a world that often feels so isolating.
It's so easy to feel alone, disconnected.
It is, which is why shows like No Gain, No Love are so important.
They remind us that we're not alone, that there's always hope.
Exactly. Even when things are tough, that potential for love, for connection, it's always there. And that's something worth fighting for.
It really is. Well said. And on that note, that's it for our deep dive into No Gain, No Love. But don't worry, we'll be back soon with another K-drama that's sure to keep you on the edge of your seat. Until next time.